I've never really been one to use tablets. I've actually owned 2 of them, but both times I kind of just found myself picking up my phone instead. Things have changed a little though. I'm in college now, and I find tablets, as opposed to a phone or even a laptop especially, are a great way to read course materials like digital textbooks. Of course, tablets are also great for browsing the web, watching Netflix, or pretty much anything else you can think of. And with a tablet like this, that has a SIM card slot and LTE connectivity, you can even text or browse the web away from a Wi-Fi connection, so long as you sign up for a plan with a carrier. You can, of course, however, just use the AC Wi-Fi like I did. This device is really nice in the hand. It kind of has a heavy feeling that's just enough to give it confidence in the build without being unreasonable for its size. It feels solid. Let's get into the specs, starting with the 8-inch Full HD Plus 1920 by 1200 IPS display, which is a 16 by 10 aspect ratio at 283 pixels per inch, which I found to be quite clear, and I never really thought it looked low when using the device at all. In my opinion, the screen looks just good overall. It's pretty reflective though. I spent a 3-hour drive in the car watching Netflix as a passenger, and generally there was just a ton of glare on the screen, and it made it kind of hard to see. More brightness and or a more matte screen would be nice when it comes to that, but you certainly won't have any trouble viewing it indoors, and even in the car it was doable. Internally, we've got 32 gigabytes of storage with support for up to a 2 terabyte micro SD card. There's also 2 gigabytes of RAM and a Snapdragon 435 processor. Now, that's definitely not a processing power beast, but it'll do for most anything but heavier games. And even in gaming, the lighter stuff works just fine. Finally, we have the battery, which is 3000 milliamp hours, and that's actually a pretty small battery for a tablet. In fact, my Galaxy S7, which itself is only a 5-inch phone, it's not huge or anything, has a battery that size. Honestly, when I first read the specs for the G Pad 4, the small battery was the first thing I noticed, and it kind of makes the Plus pack, which I'll talk about once I've covered the tablet itself, a lot more necessary. I think for the most part I got around 3 to 4 hours of screen on time with the device, so that's not awful. The tablet speaker, which is on the top, I found to be pretty good, and I thought that was a good spot for it as well. I didn't really have any trouble avoiding covering it up when I was watching Netflix or YouTube videos, and while it's certainly not bassy, it's loud enough for 2 people to comfortably watch a movie or a TV show. On the bottom of the tablet, you'll find the micro USB port, which I found a little disappointing just because it is micro USB and not USB-C, but this isn't exactly meant to be top-of-the-line hardware or anything. And it's not that big a deal, just USB-C would always be nice. Let's talk about the cameras. The front and back are both 5 megapixels, and they definitely aren't great. Personally, I don't care, because on a tablet, I don't really see a rear camera as a necessary feature, and the front camera I found to be at least as good or better than the rear camera, and enough for video calling. It would definitely be grainy indoors, but overall, like I said, good enough for Skype. As I've mentioned, this device does have a nano SIM card slot with LTE connectivity for mobile browsing or even texting, and it also has vibration, which is just kind of a bit of a less common feature on tablets. It's also got Bluetooth 4.2, NFC, and GPS. I do like the inclusion of mobile connectivity, even though I don't use it. I actually have a couple of friends who only have tablets, they don't have cell phones, and they just communicate with everyone they need to talk to through Facebook Messenger. For someone like that, having the option to get mobile data and texting could be really useful and still potentially a lot cheaper than just having a phone. Let's get into using the device. It's running Android 7.0, which makes me really happy because, in my opinion, that's a great version of Android. The performance is pretty smooth too. I find LG's skin to be pretty minimal and one of the better ones, especially in terms of performance. That said, while the experience wasn't stuttery, it was pretty smooth. Every once in a while there would be a time where it kind of locked up and took a few seconds to respond when I hit the home button. That said, it was never a big issue for me, and I kind of went in knowing that, like I said, this is a bit of a lower end processor and it doesn't have much RAM. So it happens once in a while, but not a huge deal for me, and it would just be a few seconds and then it would get back to what it was doing. Overall, I like this tablet for what I used it for, which pretty much was studying and Netflix. I wouldn't recommend it for someone who wants to play the latest games on the Play Store, however, and the battery life is a little disappointing. Speaking of battery life, let's talk about the Plus Pack. This is kind of your standard portable battery bank for charging, with a couple of small twists that make it more unique to work really well with the G-Pad 4 specifically. It charges through micro USB just like the tablet does, but it didn't come with its own charger, so you'll have to use the one that came with your tablet. You can get to the ports on it and the power button by pulling back this hinge, which acts as a pretty nice stand for the tablet. It attaches to the tablet through this magnetic strip on the back, and it just snaps on and off pretty easily. Through that, it charges the tablet and acts as a speaker. I found the audio from the Plus Pack a little clearer and definitely louder, but overall not much better. There's still really no bass at all. You can charge devices through the full-size USB Type-A port, and what's really cool is that the port also acts as a pass-through to the tablet. So you can actually plug in a mouse or a keyboard to that full-size USB-A port, and when the tablet is connected as well, that mouse or keyboard will work on the tablet, essentially giving the tablet a full-size USB-A port. I thought that was really cool, and it made it more of like a docking feature than just a battery pack. The Plus Pack's capacity is 4,400 milliamp hours, which theoretically means you can get over one full tablet charge out of it, maybe even close to 1.5 at the better end. Overall, the Plus Pack, like I said, acts more like a dock than just a battery pack, and it's pretty cool, but what I really loved about it was just that it was a convenient way to charge multiple devices at once. Just plug the Plus Pack into the wall, plug a phone or some other device into the USB Type-A port, and smack the tablet on it, and bam, you've got all three devices charging at the same time, the Plus Pack, the phone, and the tablet. That was actually quite useful for me, and I used it a lot overnight to get everything charged all at once. My problem with the Plus Pack is the price. Coming in with an MSRP of $149.99 Canadian, which converts to about $120 US, it's not cheap. In fact, the tablet itself only costs $240 Canadian, which is about $194 US. So the Plus Pack costs over half the price of the tablet alone. Now that on its own wouldn't necessarily be so bad if it offered more, because it does have some cool features, but given the speaker isn't that much better and the capacity isn't that much higher, I think the price is a little bit harsh. Personally, I'd probably just spend less on a bigger battery pack, and you would lose the dock features like the speaker and the ability to pass through devices like a mouse and a keyboard, but you could get a lot more charges out of something cheaper. And quickly back to the tablet itself, I do really like it overall for reading, browsing, watching TV, but you probably will want some kind of a battery pack for it. But that's it, guys. Have you used a G-Pad 4 or any other member of the G-Pad line? Let me know what you think of them down below in the comments. And if you want to buy one of these or other cool stuff on Amazon, check out my affiliate links in the description, and feel free to use them as your main Amazon bookmark to support my channel every time you buy something. If you liked this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and ring that bell to get a notification when I post. Check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram at the links in the description. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.